Oh, well, what's your emergency?
I work for a company, and we didn't have a call from an employee. We just walked in the door, our husband and I, and there's blood in the foyer, and it looks like something possibly happened.
You're with the husband?
I'm with the husband, yes.
It's a beautiful May morning, 2001, and totally out of the blue, a woman is murdered right in her own home. Was it a burglary gone bad? Was it a crime of passion? No one would really know that answer for almost 25 years.
And you said some things were knocked over?
Yeah.
Blood in the foyer and items knocked over.
There's blood all along the wall, splattered blood. I mean, there's a lot of blood. So I'm like, okay, something has happened here.
Chevy Chase is a very upscale, wealthy community. It's kind of a place where nothing bad ever happens.
White collar, beautiful. Everybody knew everybody, and it was just absolutely gorgeous. It was a remarkable place to grow up. You felt safe all the time.
It is a famously low crime area. I mean, it's one of the real draws for people. So a case like this, as you can imagine, was incredibly shocking.
You have this idyllic neighborhood that borders Washington, D.C., and this is where Leslie Prier and her husband Carl, known as Sandy, this is where they raised their daughter Lauren.
Leslie was a really sweet, kind, wonderful Southern charm lady. She really was great.
Leslie Prier was about 50 years old. Leslie was beautiful, she was warm, magnetic. People described Leslie as very generous and open. Carl Prier, who is known as Sandy, is Leslie's very long-time husband. They were married for almost 30 years, and he was also known to be very warm, very devoted to his family, spending a lot of time with his wife and a lot of time with his daughter. Lauren Prier is the daughter, the only child of Leslie Prier and Sandy Prier.
All Leslie talked about most of the day was Lauren. Where she was going, what she was doing. She bragged about her daughter.
But on what should have been just an ordinary Wednesday morning in May 2001, for some reason, Leslie Prier doesn't show up for work.
She's not there at 10:15, 10:20, okay? And then it was 10:30, and I asked one of the front desk administrator workers, Diane, I said, call the house and see if you get an answer. And she said, Brett, there's no answer. So now it's getting about 10:40, 10:45, and now I'm getting kind of concerned.
Her boss started calling her husband and her daughter to see if there was a reason that she wasn't appearing at work. And nobody could figure anything out, and they thought it was weird.
I said to Sandy, why don't we go over there? I'll drive to that house, and I'll probably find something. And he says, I'm going to go over there too. And Sandy and I walked into that house. Right away to the right of the foyer, I saw blood. And I see some tables knocked over and some games were knocked over on the floor. So, okay, something's going on here. He went upstairs to look for Leslie, and he was there very quick, maybe 30 seconds, from what I remember, and then back downstairs. And then we walked in the back towards the kitchen, and I said, look at this, Sandy, the kitchen's full of blood. This is definitely a struggle. And the kitchen door also was open a little ajar. And above the blood was smeared blood as if somebody tried to clean it up. At that point, I knew something of foul play. I said, Sandy, I think we should call 911.
Can I ask you guys to step out of the house?
Sure.
Okay. We sent the call, and we should be en route.
I asked Sandy when we went outside and waiting for the police, you were upstairs really quick. And he said, oh, but I didn't check the bathroom. Didn't make sense to me he didn't check the bathroom.
And a uniformed officer showed up, went upstairs into the master bedroom. She was found in a shower, the victim of a violent assault, and she was dead.
This guy picks her body up and brings it upstairs into the shower and puts scalding hot water on her.
She suffered, first-degree burns and third-degree burns on her where the water was hitting her. Was obviously trying to wash off any DNA.
He knows at that time he's got his blood, his stuff all over him. He's got to clean all this up. He's got to go downstairs, clean it all up.
It's a bloody mess, to say the least.
And here's Sandy Prier, reeling from his wife's brutal murder, and now he has the terrible task of telling their daughter, Lauren, what happened to her mom.
She was early 20s. She was not living at home with her parents when the murder occurred.
And I saw a police car pull up, and I was like, that's strange, because there was never any crime. And then my dad got out. He said, Daddy, what's going on? And then my life changed at this point. This is all in slow motion too, because when trauma happens, it's all like one word at a time. You don't hear it all at once. He's like, Lauren, there's been an accident. Your mom's not with us anymore. I lost my mind. Lost. I went to my bedroom and just shrieked. Like the screams that you hear from like the bottom of your heart and stomach, like I was done. I had such literally the perfect life growing up. Perfect parents, beautiful home, wonderful friends. And so my life shattered. And I saw the world in a different way.
Police are left to make sense of this awful crime scene and what is seemingly a random crime.
She could have been getting ready for work and then heard something and come downstairs and encountered the intruder. They were looking at burglars that had done crime in the area or people that had been arrested recently for burglary. There was no evidence of forced entry.
Right.
So it was someone that was familiar with the house, how to get in, or someone that she would have let in.
Often in crimes like this, I mean, the husband can be a suspect. So very quickly, detectives zeroed in on Sandy Prier, Leslie's husband. And I think that really took on a life of its own.
So police begin a series of interviews with Sandy Prier, and they question him about his every move, everything from the night before Leslie's murder through the morning she was killed. And some of those details do seem curious.
Was she standing at the door when you left?
Yes.
Was the door open?
Yes.
And you said that she was wearing just her bra and panties?
Correct.
He did provide details that could confirm a suspicion if it was already there. I mean, first of all, he went and searched the house for her on that morning and didn't find her. And then police arrived and she wasn't that hidden. I mean, she was in the bathroom. So that was, I think, a little weird for them, and understandably so.
I know you might not want to touch on it, okay, but when we had talked, we had mentioned, like, the wife's drinking, okay? What was her normal routine as far as, like, during the evening? Would she eat, or would she just, hit the bottle, or what?
She would definitely have a glass of wine, pretty much after she got home.
Just one?
No.
How many?
is this important thing for Elizabeth? She would have a lot. She would have a lot, and in all honesty, it's one of the reasons why I'd kind of come home late, because I just really, it was getting hard to deal with.
When police interview Sandy Preer, he tries to answer every question as honestly as he can. I mean, after all, he wants detectives to find out who murdered his wife. But some of those details don't present him in the best light.
And so you could see him going through every time they'd fought, every time he had done something that could have been perceived as violent. He talked about sometimes that she was too drunk, some fights that they'd had that turned ugly, but none of them ever violent or close to violent.
The most violent I ever got was I'd grab her and just say, you got to snap out of it. Like grabbing her by her shoulders, you got to snap out of it. But I did that, one time, and really, and she, hit the wall. Nothing, smashing or anything. Hit the wall, and she's burst in tears, and I'm thinking, God, what am I doing? So I pretty much controlled myself to where I was not going to go here.
So police also interview Brett Reedy. This is Leslie's boss, who met Sandy at the house the morning of the murder.
Did Leslie share with you or any other co-workers, to your knowledge, any personal problems that she was having at home or issues that she was having at home?
What I did hear was that she did drink a lot.
Anything else? How about the relationship with her husband?
No, she didn't say anything about that to me.
When police later talk to their daughter Lauren, they ask even more pointed questions about her mother Leslie.
We discussed, I think maybe Jim discussed with you about the possibility of Leslie having a boyfriend, a paramour, lover, whatever, unknown to us or to anyone in the family. We've followed that about as far as we can follow it. And we've talked to friends, acquaintances going back 10 years, and nobody has been able to provide us with any inkling.
And I've told you everything that I know, I swear on my life. And I would not keep anything from you. My parents that were having weird things, or you having an affair, or my dad told me anything that would make me think something, I would tell you.
For 1 second in the beginning, literally 1 second, I was like, could my dad really have done that? When I understood what happened to Leslie, like to my mom, I said, there's no way, no way. It was brutal.
So Sandy Preer eventually takes a polygraph test, and shockingly, he fails it. That makes police focus on him even more intently and push him even harder.
Sometimes doing the right thing ain't easy. Sometimes it takes a whole hell of a lot of intestinal fortitude to go in and do the right thing. To suck it up and to admit to it, and so you can move on. And that's what you really need to do. For you and for Lauren. Especially for Lauren. You gotta do the right thing, man. You got to.
I think I am. In fact, I know I am. And I'll just tell you one thing, you've got the wrong guy.
I mean, it's remarkable watching detectives interrogate Sandy, I felt, on like a human level. Like insisting to him that he had killed his wife without a lot of evidence that that was the case.
When the autopsy report comes back, yes, it sheds a little bit more light on what happened to Leslie. But to be clear, this doesn't exonerate her husband, Sandy.
The medical examiner had ruled it blunt force trauma and strangulation. So from analyzing the area where most of the blood was found, there is a part in the door jamb where the wall comes out, and it makes a corner, a V shape, and it matched the lacerations that were in the back of Leslie's head that were V-shaped notches. So from what we can determine, the person was strangling her and bashing her head into the ground where it would have hit that corner.
But she also was asphyxiated. She was choked, and I think broke the small bone in the bottom of the neck. So they knew that she was still alive when she was strangled.
This was not an accident, was not a fall. This was a violent attack.
It seemed very personal. It didn't seem like a random act of violence. It seemed very personal, and who else would have a personal need to injure someone that badly other than a lover or a husband?
And there is something else in that coroner's report that points to Sandy Prier.
The coroner said that they believed that Leslie died in the early morning hours. Well, just if it's early morning hours, it's either him or him and a friend, or him hiring a friend while he's somewhere else, or one of those scenarios. All those went through her head, yes, at that point.
Facts don't lie, Sandy. And that's what we're dealing with. You haven't told us the truth. We have physical evidence that shows Leslie was dead before 7 o'clock in the morning. There's physical evidence that shows it. Physical evidence that shows it. And that don't lie. People lie.
I've told you everything exactly how it happened. And I don't have anything else to say.
And then the crime scene analysis comes back from the lab.
At the crime scene, there are multiple locations where single source DNA was found, and it was identified as a male DNA source.
But this is not Sandy's DNA. It's another man's.
There were a couple of places that his blood was found, and underneath Leslie's fingernails. Those were all processed and analyzed and determined that they were a match for the same unknown male.
Now investigators are wondering, could this be someone that Sandy hired to kill his wife? Or was Leslie's murder orchestrated by someone else entirely?
His blood was mixed with her blood in a certain area by where the bottom of the stairs were, and he knew he was cut, he was injured, probably knew enough about DNA by 2001 to know you're probably leaving samples there. He's probably trying to clean it up. That's my guess, and he got interrupted.
But who on earth could this unknown male, this mystery man be? Well, with the help of Law&Crime and her dad, Sandy, police start making a list.
There was somewhere between 18 and 24 men who were identified as people who were family members, friends of the family, that on a regular basis went in and out to see whether or not it was their blood, their DNA in the critical crime scene.
Could Leslie Prier's killer be somebody that she knew? Someone who had a key, someone who knew that they left the kitchen door open. This is when a new theory emerges.
Probably the best working theory right now is that he came there to steal something, and then the mom, Leslie, came down, probably in a half state of dress, and saw him, and it was probably a shriek, and he just flipped. Then once he started, he couldn't stop.
Name by name, person by person, police go through the list.
18 different males. They were all excluded as the source.
This case goes cold for almost a decade. It's not until 2010 that detectives reopen it.
Every 10 years, they put new detectives on a cold case. You don't know what's going to catch a detective's eye.
Lauren had mentioned to detectives in 2010 that there was a neighbor who she knew, and whenever she was with her mother and she encountered him, he was very flirty with her mother, and he was like, "Oh, I see where you get your good looks from," to Lauren, and that always kind of stuck out in her mind.
I thought one of her neighbors did it. He was an oddball. He did some strange things, and I thought it was him.
They interviewed that individual. They got his DNA, and it was not a match, so he was eliminated.
For the next 7 years, nothing much happens in this case. But it is during this time when Lauren suffers just another terrible loss.
Unfortunately, her father passed away in 2017, never being officially cleared. I mean, I can't imagine the weight that would put on someone and how that would affect his health.
He died of a broken heart. He was just devastated. He lived for my Aunt Penny and I for a very long time, and then he had enough. And he was done.
He was never arrested, which goes to the fact that while he was a suspect, there was no linkage or things that really tied him to the murder. As a matter of fact, quite candidly, the DNA that was developed early on would have suggested he didn't have anything to do with it. And sadly, he didn't live to see himself exonerated.
Nothing happened for over 2 decades. They knew there was an unknown DNA sample from a third party, and that's kind of all they had for 2+ decades.
And then, in 2022, Lauren gets a call from the Montgomery County Police.
The phone rang out of the blue, and it was Tara. And she said, "Hi, my name's Tara. I'm with the cold case detectives from Montgomery County." She's like, "I'm working on your mom's case." I almost fell off the chair. It's been almost 25 years. It's a long time. A long time. And I said, "You are?" It was just something that I never expected to hear, ever. And I couldn't believe it. And then she's like, "We have a new thing called genealogy, and we're gonna try to look into that." And I said, "Okay." And then it was about a year. She said, "It's gonna take a long time," because I had about 25 people on my list. And I said, "Okay." I said, "I waited this long. I can wait a year."
You're working with a ton of data. You might get a list of matches that could have thousands of names.
So Montgomery County, Maryland cold case detectives, they dig through a mound of data here, and they create a forensic family tree. This is based on the unknown male DNA that was found at the crime scene.
The best way to describe it is you have the suspect's DNA, you submit it into this database, and you look at their family members, and then by building the family tree of the family members that are there, you can then work backwards, and if they're in the right place in the family tree, then you have a possible suspect match. In this one, we had a couple of particularly high matches. They were from Eastern European descent. We decided, okay, well, let's just work with these high matches and see what we can do. And once we did that, within 2 weeks, we came up with a match that was based out of Romania.
An elderly women in Romania built out a family tree with everybody who was associated with that family. And within that tree, the name Gligor appears.
Gligor popped up, and we had seen it in the case file, so that was a huge red flag. And then knowing that that family lived in this area at the time, that was another reason why it was like, okay, this is a really good match.
I heard her, she yelled from across the room, and we'd had a couple like possibles before, but this time when she yelled back to me, I was like, oh, this might be the real deal.
So the next step is to get DNA from this person named Gligor, Eugene Gligor to be more exact. Right now, he's out of the country, but he's due back soon.
And so they set up a little bit of a ruse at the airport with the assistance of the officials at the airport. They were actually doing a document check. He was coming back from overseas, and they were claiming they were checking the documents.
And they just put him in a room that was kind of sterilized with water bottles. Had him fill out a form, and once he had filled out the form, they're like, okay, you're free to go. But stayed enough time to, when he did, he drank from the bottle.
I want to give you a little behind the scenes tool on something that we use here at Law&Crime that can be very, very useful to you. So we use a service called Truth Finder to look up the people in our stories. And this is a powerful background checker that is amazing because you plug in a name and you get address information, criminal history, and this can give you some peace of mind. Truth Finder is one of the largest public record search services in the United States. And with a paid subscription service, you can get access to unlimited reports about almost anyone. And by the way, that includes looking up registered sex offenders in your area too. So stay informed, stay safe. Check out Truth Finder now at truthfinder.com/LCPrimeCrime.
Once we got the DNA sample that was covertly collected, we submitted it to the lab that day and we let them know, if you can put a rush on this, this would be great. They put all their efforts towards it, and by the end of the week on Friday, we were able to get a report from them saying that it was a match.
After almost 25 years, could Eugene Gligor be the guy who's eluded police for so long? There's really only one way to find out.
That's when the wheels started moving about, okay, we gotta find this guy, we gotta arrest him.
She called me when he was getting arrested. So they knew. They had everything. It wasn't like a hunch. They had DNA, blood, skin. It was him.
And this is really cutting off.
All right, we'll adjust it. We'll adjust it. Hold on. They're not made for comfort, but we'll make it.
I get it.
Yeah, we'll make it. We'll ease it up on it. Yeah, no problem. I ain't got nothing personal wrong with you.
Yeah.
So you didn't know anything about this warrant? Okay. Our boss will tell you everything about it. Thank you.
Phone rang again. It was her. And she's like, just like, get a glass of water. I'm gonna tell you something. And I said, obviously, I was like, oh God. And she goes, do you know Eugene Gligor? I mean, when I say I lost my mind, I couldn't believe it. And she was like, he's the one that killed your mom. I couldn't believe my ears. I had no idea that it was someone that I dated. His parents' house was literally a 7-minute walk from my parents' home. I mean, we went to prom together. He went to my parents' house all the time. My mom cooked. He would just be there, and I would be at his parents' house. And then we broke up when I was 21, mutually. It wasn't a bad thing. 3 years after we broke up, he killed her. It was horrible. So, it was scary. I was scared.
Just the horror that he could have done that to somebody that took care of him and opened their house to him was just shocking.
But looking back on it, nobody suspected a 21-year-old kid who they used to play parcheesi with. There wasn't any suspicion at all in that direction because it didn't make sense.
As soon as he was under arrest, I called Lauren just to let her know, and then also to get a little bit of information about him before we went in to interview him. And I had asked her, you know, please don't put this out there. I'll call you as soon as we're done. We'll give you more information, but just so you know, this is going on.
Eugene Gligor is already under arrest when police bring him in for questioning.
I am Detective Graston. This is Detective DuPoy. Hi there. From Montgomery County.
Okay.
I'm sure you're wondering what this is all about.
I would really like to know.
Yeah.
This has been really, really hard, whatever's happening.
Well, we're going to get through all of that with you.
I think in the back of his mind, he probably knew this day might come. It's a game. He wanted to find out information from us. We were trying to find out information from him, and that was apparent that he wanted to know what evidence we had.
What is your physical condition today? Do you have any injuries? Are you feeling okay?
I mean, I'm feeling a little bit caught off guard, and I'm from the handcuffs. There's seems to be a lump on my hand.
It was so fake. All of it immediately when he came in, it was oh, my wrist hurts from the handcuff, woe is me, I have heartburn, and he was just a victim the whole time. We actually work in the cold case unit. We investigate crimes that have been unsolved for quite a period of time. Do you recall back in 2001, Leslie Preer?
Yes, that she was murdered, yeah.
Yes. Okay, so that's the case that we are investigating. So the reason that we wanted to talk to you is because a lot of the people whose names are in the case file, they've been interviewed throughout the years and they've been asked to give DNA samples to compare to DNA from the crime scene. And we realized that they never talked to you, never did anything, and we wanted to find out more about you and if there was any kind of situation where you could have been at the house at that time.
I'm a little confused. To find out more and talk to me, why not just call me and ask me to come in and talk to me versus have marshals come and arrest me and bring me in? I'm just confused as to why that's the case.
Well, because we needed to talk to you in a controlled environment and because there's a little bit more to it than what we've told you so far.
Could you tell me?
Well, we're getting there. I'm trying to give you an opportunity to be a little bit forthcoming before we...
I mean, I feel a little bit trapped here, like...
Well, you're under arrest, so you should feel trapped.
And Gligor is about to find out just how trapped he really is.
So from the crime scene, the DNA that was taken, we actually have a sample of your DNA, and it was compared to the crime scene DNA, and it matched. So we know that you were there at the time when Leslie died.
But I never gave a sample of DNA.
When we said, well, we have your DNA, we matched it to the crime scene, we know that you were there when Leslie was killed. He said, you don't have my DNA. And I said, well, actually we do. It was satisfying. We obtained a sample from a discarded water bottle that you drank out of. So your DNA matches the crime scene DNA. You know, we know
Why would my DNA be there?
That's what we're trying to figure out.
So, I don't know. I don't know, you know? I mean, I was in the house, but it was years before, you know, when I dated her.
Correct.
I don't know. I wish I could tell you. I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand. This is all very bewildering, very strange. Is there more that you're gonna tell me?
He was sort of crying without actually physically crying.
There's no tears coming out of your face.
I'm very dry right now.
You're dry?
I'm very dry. I'm parched, I'm dehydrated. You can probably see my eyes are bloodshot red because I'm just tired and drained. I don't know what's going on. You want me to drink water so I can tear? Like,
no,
what is wrong with you?
I don't want you to tear. I just don't want you to...
What are you trying to say?
I'm just trying to say that this seems a little put on.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
No.
Oh my God, you're so full of it. You're after.
His initial response was to cry, and then when he realized that that didn't work because there were no tears coming out of his face, and I told him, I can see that there's no tears coming out of your face. This is put on. Like, this isn't a real emotion. And then he started getting angry, and that's when he started cussing at us and yelling at us, and he just went through all the emotions, and it was just a big show. If there's an alternate explanation, that's why we wanted to talk to you today.
Could it have been, you know, an interrupted burglary? Did something happen where you didn't expect anybody to be home?
I have no idea. I don't remember. I don't recall.
The biggest thing that I had a problem with was when confronted with anything, he never said, I didn't do that. He said, I don't remember, over and over. And I said, if I didn't do that, I would have said, I didn't do that. I wouldn't be saying, I don't remember.
I'm really confused, and I'm really at a loss, and I don't know, I don't have any recollection of being involved with any of this.
You keep saying you don't remember, and you don't have any recollection.
Well,
but if somebody was not involved, it would be an adamant, I didn't do it.
Oh, I didn't do it. I definitely didn't do it. Like, this is absolutely, I know I didn't do it. I know I wasn't involved.
And then that's the only time he said, well, I didn't do it.
And I just don't understand how this has come to this. I really wish I knew. And I really wish I could give you some answers and give you more feedback from an honest perspective, because I just don't know. I just don't know. I don't
know either. That's why we wanted to talk to you. I don't know why your blood is there also. I don't know. The only person that knows is Leslie, and she can't tell us.
At this point, Gligor knows the jig is up.
Okay, so you're saying I need to spend a night here?
Oh yeah, you'll be here. Yes.
Okay.
We're ready.
The original charge against Mr. Gligor was first-degree murder, which carried a maximum penalty of life imprisonment.
I think we were all gearing up for a trial, and a brutal one where Lauren and others had to relive and see gruesome footage and relive the memories of those early days.
But before trial, Gligor makes a move that shocks everyone.
And then Eugene, who had up until that point maintained innocence, took a guilty plea for second-degree murder.
There was a lot of input from the family. And I will tell you, the family, they wanted resolution. They wanted someone to walk into court and say to the entire community, I did this. Because if you have a trial, the jury can say it. It's something else for a person to stand up and publicly say, I took the life of this woman.
I think Lauren really did not want to sit through a trial. I think it had been enough. Like, it had been 20 years of a question. It had been 20 years of grief and of wanting closure, and I think it was just time to make sure it happened.
So there's no trial, but there is a sentencing hearing. And this is when Lauren Prier is finally face to face with Eugene Gligor. This is her former boyfriend and the man who murdered her mom. This is when she can finally voice all of those feelings that she has bottled up for nearly 25 years.
It's like seeing a ghost. It's scary. He's in shackles, brutally murders my mother. To hear his voice and to think that I knew you, I dated you and we went to prom together. It was very, very scary, very haunting.
You took my angel. Why would you kill my mom? Murder her in cold blood.
Now, in Maryland, cameras aren't allowed in the courtroom, but there are audio recordings. So what we did is we used AI to help visualize what this scene might have looked like.
Somehow, some way, we let you into our lives. That's Eugene. And a monster arrived right in the front door. Someone we trusted and considered a friend. But in plain sight, you had us on hold. Scary, terrifying lies. Look us right in the eyes. You're a monster, a wolf in sheep's clothing.
I had Ben next to me. He's my friend and my lawyer, and I just read what I really felt, truly in my heart to him. It just felt good to get the words out, if that makes sense. And he's an evil person, so he probably didn't even care. But it was helpful to me.
You almost got away with it. And by the grace of God, prayer, and for almost 25 years, my mother's monster was caught. Eugene T. Gligor. Guess what? My family and friends are still here.
She was strong, and she let him know. He had taken a lot from her and her family, but she hadn't taken everything, and she was there to let him know that. And she was still there. I'm still here.
I give Lauren a lot of credit for how she handled that moment. Anybody speaking to their mother's killer, it takes immense courage. To do it to the face of somebody who you loved and trusted is a whole nother level.
Many family members are present today here in the courtroom. and on Zoom. And they're here to honor Leslie's memory. They're also here to finally see justice done after 24 years. Justice that they've almost given up hope on.
Sandy Freer was sentenced to life without his loving wife and his best friend. Sandy died with a cloud of murder suspect hanging over his head. Lauren Freer was sentenced to life without her mother and dearest friend. A sentence of pain and sorrow she will carry as long as she lives.
The fact that the murder was committed by somebody who had been very close to her, whom both she and her mother had welcomed into her family, whom she had loved and trusted, has left an overarching sense of betrayal and confusion.
Today is a day of reckoning. A day of reckoning for this defendant. Remember, the state is requesting 30 years. That was the maximum penalty for second-degree murder at the time of this offense. We don't believe that there is any reason for probation.
At this time, Mr. Gligor, you do have the absolute right to address the court before I sentence you in this matter. If there's anything that you would like to say to the court, now is your opportunity to do so.
Your Honor, yes, I would. Your Honor, I want to express my deepest regret, shame, and remorse for the devastating tragedy that I caused, taking the life of Leslie Freer, and to share my desire to atone for the pain and the suffering that I brought to Lauren, Lauren's father, and Leslie's family and friends.
Hearing his voice was horrifying, for real. It was like the devil speaking. Every time he mentioned my name or my mom's name, I wanted to kill him. It's like a nightmare. It's like a real nightmare.
The words devastating tragedy don't fully convey the crime that I committed, murder, or my thoughts and emotions around this horrible event. So I'll do my best to express myself. I'm so very sorry for the misery I caused everyone.
He's not given an answer. Like, I think a lot of people want to know his motive, and he said bits and pieces here and there, but I think we still don't really know.
I'll ask Mr. Gligor if you'd please stand, face the court for your punishment and sentence in this case. Sir, it will be the sentence of this court that the court will sentence you to 30 years in Division of Corrections. I will suspend all... Please. I will suspend all but 22 years of that sentence. That sentence will have 5 years of supervised probation upon your release.
22 years, I'm okay with that. Because if he'd gone to trial, there would have been a possibility he could have gotten off. But I'm okay, 22 years, he's gonna be almost 70. That's a long time to be in prison.
She was brave. She wanted the judge to know and her mom to see her there. Her and her father looked down and knew she was there to finally see justice happen.
That in my letter when I was talking to the judge, I think my very last words were, "You almost got away with it," and he did. He would have, if it wasn't for the genealogy, he would have gotten away with it.
It's a lot of work, magnificent work by the two women who headed this investigation with Montgomery County Police. They did an extraordinarily good and thorough job to do this.
There were a lot of ups and downs, and it took a long time, but in the end, it was ultimately a success, and we were very pleased with it.
It was a miracle, literally. I hope that for the other families that are dealing with very old cold case files that it gives them hope, definitely.
What an emotional roller coaster of a case, right? It starts with a terrible personal murder for which there's no explanation, but in the end, there is also hope. And it is thanks to 3 amazing women here. Lauren Freer, who never gave up, and those cold case detectives who you could say went to the ends of the earth to find her an answer.
I have my parents' picture sitting in my guest bedroom, and I said, one day, I promise, we're gonna get it solved. And now I get to say to them, we got justice.